trying to contain it, okay? I know it's funny.
Hall of Famer! Yeah!
The greatest heavy metal band in the world, Steel Panther.
Did you get that? That was my sigh. I was sighing.
And you are going to find a rusty nail, and you're going to slit your wrist, and you're going to kill yourself. That's where you're going, Jack. You need to lighten up.
This is Stone Cold Steve Austin, right?
Yeah.
When he's driving, and you cut him off at an intersection.
Yeah.
Okay. What?
You gotta do some shrooms or something.
Have you ever seen the Attitude Adjustment? That's a move.
I'm scared because I was actually talking about the voices that I hear in my head, and I now realize we were talking about Randy Orton.
I remember when Chris Benoit killed his family and then hung himself from the weight machine. Let's do that in a match at WrestleMania.
Listen up, turn it up and rock it out. Party on, I wanna hear you scream and shout. This is real as it gets. I came to your town to get some fucking respect. Taking it back to a hardcore level. You better be ready, put your pedal to the metal. Taking it back to a hardcore level. Better be ready, put your pedal to the metal. Go! Whoa, I never give in. Whoa, I never give up. Whoa, I never give in. I just wanna be loved. Whoa, I never give in. Whoa, I never give up. Whoa, I never give in. I just wanna be loved.
I'm Jack Peterson. I'm Ajax. I am Mr. Clean. I'm Sex Pac. I'm the man of 1,000 strongly worded wrestling opinions. And I'm joined every week by Tiger Woods, apparently.
Yes, I'm Phil X. I'm Prince Havoc. I am Tiger Woods, apparently. I'm a golfer now, Jack, and I know you want to address a certain elephant in the room, so go right ahead.
There's a pretty big elephant in the room, and he's got a golf club in his hand. He's got a few in the bag on his back. And, we do have beef, Phil. Unfortunately for you, unfortunately for me, we have an issue we have to address. There is one very specific thing that happened yesterday that I'm confused about, and I want to hear your opinion. You see, usually we do these episodes on Tuesdays, right? We do them Tuesdays at 6 Eastern Standard Time, live on Twitch, twitch.tv/FightgeistWrestling. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, podcast catcher of your choice, YouTube, etc. But the point is, we do these episodes at the same time every week. Yeah, we missed last week, and we missed last week specifically because your power went out due to a hurricane, right?
Yeah.
Circumstances you can't control, circumstances I can't control.
I almost died, yeah.
Well, I don't know about that, but your power was out for a little while. And that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. That's not a problem. We tried to reschedule the show and your power went out again. Or it stayed out or something along those lines. Whatever. I'm sorry that happened. That sucks. But this week was supposed to be a return to form. If you're on the video podcast, you see I'm not in my house right now. I'm on vacation. I'm streaming this right now from an island in the middle of the lake in Vermont. And yet I still showed up and was ready to do the show as normal. Phil, though, was perfectly fine with doing the show until 5:15 p.m. when we go live at 6, until he sends me a text. And Phil, what did that text say?
I don't know. Read it.
Okay.
All right, I'm just gonna say this right now. He says 5:15, but it was I actually sent the message at 3:56 p.m. and I have the receipts. Yes.
No.
Yes.
What, show me the receipts. 3:56. What are you talking about?
Okay. I'll show you right now. See, I'm quick. I'm quick with my phone. I'm an agile phone user, so I can pull up the DMs very, very fast.
Right. I have the DMs right now. I have them right now.
Really? Okay. Then show the time. Show the timestamp. Let the world see it.
Oh, it does say 3:56.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
You lying
I'll give you that.
animal.
I'll give you that. That doesn't invalidate my point. It doesn't make me seem stupid because it's 3:56. I apologize. You're right. It wasn't 5:15.
I accept your
But you know what
apology.
It was some bullshit is what it was.
Was it?
Because, yeah, you said this. You said, let's postpone for tomorrow. We'll do tomorrow and Thursday. Doubleheader. Something came up, Daddy-o. All right. Okay. So I said,
Yeah.
"Oh, really? It's something you can't skip? I don't want to get off our schedule. We get a lot less people watching when we do different days." You didn't respond for a while. It became 5:46 before I sent another text and said, I'd love to know soon what we're doing. And at 5:48, you said, "No, we'll be good. Tomorrow at 6.
Yeah.
Got to do it before AEW, maybe a 5 start." And I said, "Can you explain why? This is kind of annoying. Our fans do expect a Tuesday time, and when you can't do it last minute, it kind of fucks with everything," which is true. And Jerk says in the chat, everyone was so worried, and I don't know if that's
Man.
sarcasm or not, but I don't care. I was worried. I was pissed a little bit, but regardless, you weren't responding to my texts, which is nothing new. This happens all the time, and that's fine. But in this case, we were trying to do an episode like we do every week, and you said something came up. Look, I would assume that whatever came up, Daddy-O, was something important. Family emergency. I don't know. It could be anything. But no, I decided, to scroll through Instagram, and I found the Instagram story of Boulevard Bullies.
Right.
And I don't know if the audio will do it justice, but what I'm looking at here is a video rather, of you at a driving range with
Okay.
a golf club.
Right.
Let me let everybody listen to what happened here.
And make sure you stay even. Yeah, all right, good. Good. All right, don't fuck it up. Focus. Focus.
Not bad.
Not bad. You need a lot of improvement. What's up? We put all our eggs in the basket trying to make Prince Havoc a good golfer.
Yeah, it's just fucking up.
So we're just relaxing. We brought him to the driving range.
Yeah.
We're just eating, hanging out, trying to focus. Don't look at us.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
They're on enough fries.
100 balls to go.
We only got a platter for 2.
Yeah.
Very good.
Good job.
Yeah.
So you went golfing, huh?
Yeah, I did. I went golfing with my friends Patrick and Steven.
I'm wondering why that wasn't something you could have told me.
I meant to. It was just, something came up. It was just, had to get ready for golf, had to get my attire ready, had to iron my polo, had to make sure my hair was tamed to an extent. Yeah. I had to mentally prepare for golf. I had to eat so that on the links I wouldn't starve. Yeah, I had to drink my water so I can be hydrated, I had to get in the mental state of golf. There's a lot that goes into golf, man. I can't just be like, oh, I'm going golfing. It's hard. I mean, it was hard for me to even send those texts because, I'm just trying to prepare, man,
So it's not like I'm your employer and you work a very high pressure, important job, 9 to 5. But
Yeah.
the way I see it, we have a business partnership and we have a schedule, and every week we follow that schedule
Right.
to use a golf metaphor for you, to a T. All right, and when we
Was I
break,
supposed to laugh?
you were supposed to let me finish my fucking sentence, bro.
Oh.
When you decide that a golf game or going to a driving range is a more important thing than another episode of the show that we do every week at the same time, it confuses me.
How so? Elaborate.
How would it not confuse? I'm confused right now during this conversation. We do a show every Tuesday at 6, and when you tell me something came up, Daddy-O, and what came up was the fact that you went to play golf.
Yeah.
That confuses me a lot.
Well, what are you confused about?
Why that's important enough to skip the show? I
Well-
don't
well-
care if you told me earlier in the day that you were going to go play golf instead of the show. Maybe I'd still be a little annoyed because I was planning on doing the show and because you missed last week. Not that that was any fault of yours,
Right.
but because your power was out, because of something that had to do with you,
Right.
the show didn't happen last week.
Yeah.
So the second week, I expect the show is going to happen. And so when it doesn't happen, and not only did I not get an explanation, and I had to find it myself,
Yeah.
but it's a shitty explanation.
Oh, you finished your sentence?
Yeah, it was a trail off. It was one of those,
Oh,
Hyphen.
my bad. Yeah. Well, See, it was supposed to rain all week, right? So it was like, Tuesday was the only day we can golf this week because of rain. And it was like, the show we can do the next day since it's indoors. It wouldn't be interrupted by the rain. But golfing, a wet golf range, I wasn't really feeling that. So it was like, I might as well take advantage of the nice weather, go golfing with my buddies Patrick and Steven. Yeah. I had a good time. I'm sorry you weren't there. I should have invited you.
Well, thank you for saying that. That's not what I'm looking for, though. I wouldn't have been able to go anyway. I'm out of town, but that's not the point. The point is the fact that golf, as an excuse for missing the show, is just a strange one to me. And then when today,
well, to be fair,
what? Yeah,
I did miss the show last week due to natural disasters.
Sure.
But to be fair, there was a time where you came home from work, we got on the damn interweb, and you were like, I'm too tired to do the show. Let's postpone. So, I'd say it's even. I've postponed once. You've postponed once.
Well, yeah, that's fine. We can be even. I know you're going to keep bringing that one show that I canceled up for the rest of my life.
Right.
But the point is the circumstances. Because, and in the chat, I'm not blaming Pat or Steve for this at all. Because, they either didn't know about the schedule or didn't realize you hadn't been communicating with me. But the fact that on the day that I postponed the show, I called you and said, I can't do the show today, right? I'm too tired. I also had issues with my computer. It wasn't working. I figured it would just be better to do it on a day that I had more energy and that my computer maybe decided to cooperate. The same thing almost happened today because my computer was fucking up, but we figured out a way to make it work. And the problem is that you didn't tell me any of this stuff. You didn't call me and then say, oh, I need to go do this golf game.
I mean, I had to mentally prepare. Like Pat said in the chat, plus, with the power situation, who knew when he would be able to iron the polo, which is my shirt that I wore to golf. See, it's just, I know you're not a golfer. I know you're not, in with us. But there's a whole ritual that goes on. There's a whole pre-golf ritual. There's a whole pre-links ritual that you have to do to be able to be successful in golf. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. So, I mean, the way I look at it, I'm proud of myself for even texting you that, we're not going to be able to do the show, let's postpone it. Because honestly, if I was really a horrible person, I would have never texted you and you wouldn't have known what happened. But since I'm just such a good guy, I put a little pause in my pre-golf routine to tell you, we're going to postpone the show. So, I mean, I think I should be getting an apology, if anything, but that's just me. If you think I should be getting an apology from Jack, put in the chat.
Nobody agrees with you.
Who agrees with me?
In the chat, Boulevard Blaze says, Phil's defense of the Jack was too tired from work one day. LOL, what a prick. Urka Jerk says, my friend used to skip school on days the puddle outside his house was too big, which sounds like you. Ritual of shirking responsibilities. For sure. And look, I understand if something comes up. I'm not going to necessarily agree with whatever it is that came up, Daddy-O, but you can tell me these things before the show. 3:56, you're right, is earlier than I thought that it was, that I realized that it was. I might have only seen it at 5:15, whatever.
Right.
But the point is not the time. The point is not whether you texted me. It's that you texted me with no substance. What you texted was just as bad as not texting at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Well then.
I mean,
guess I won't text next time.
Or are you going to be like in character?
I mean, I'm not in character. There's no character. As you can see, we had our character names removed. You're not Jack Steele anymore. You're Jack. You're real life Jack. I'm not Phil X anymore. I'm real life Phil. This is as real as it gets. This is the realest podcast today. And I'm telling you, man, I think you owe me an apology. I don't know, an apology. I think you owe me an apology, but whatever. That's just me. I know that there's people out there that agree with me. Probably the listeners in France, because I know that they're out there. They probably are saying, this guy Phil, like, he's so right in this situation. But I know you've been having a long day.
Yeah.
You have a job. You work with these little brats at a camp, right? Your computer's not working now. You're in a new state, so I'll let this one slide. I'll let this one slide.
You'll let it slide. That's great. That's very convenient for you. Steve in the chat says literally nobody agrees with you. Urkajerk says maybe Jack better if he gets to drive the golf cart next time, which is very
exactly.
Just let me drive the golf cart, and then this would all be resolved. No, I mean, look, Phil.
Yeah, right. He's very tan. I thought the same thing. I don't know what lighting he's using, or if he is just catching sun from Vermont, but he looks very tan. I mean, I look somewhat pale because the light that I'm using is a big, bright white light. But yeah, I just wanted to comment on Jack's tan. But yeah, continue.
So we're switching to compliments now. I see how it is.
Is tan really a compliment?
Yeah,
I would consider it a compliment, but other people, it's just like a thing, Like what? Think about it. Like if my hair's curly, right, and someone comes up to me, like, your hair is curly, it's like, yeah, I know. But then if someone with straight hair works to curl their hair, and then someone goes up to them and says, oh, your hair's curly, it's a compliment because they worked hard to get that curly hair. But continue.
Sure, fine.
Right over your head. Jesus. Look, I should be the host.
You were the host last week. We saw how that.
I'm the host again.
Whole episode. We did a whole episode.
Hey, watch this. Ooh. Okay. You did an episode about.
Yeah, that was incredibly important. Phil.
But tanning beds cause cancer now, so yeah, that's true. Huh. That's true. I like to tan in the sun, really. I've never been in a tanning bed. I'm more of a lay out on the beach guy. Oh, I'm sorry. What were you saying? No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. If I talk, you're not going to cut me off again?
No, I'm just getting distracted by the conversation of tanning in the chat. But go ahead.
You don't have to read every chat message. You realize this, right?
There's a chat message that I think you should read.
Yeah, Jack, do yourself a favor and dump Phil and go into business for yourself, from Steve of House. I agree with that one. I like having Phil here to balance me out.
Yeah.
I do. But it does come back to bite me sometimes, especially in the last couple of weeks.
Reference to a My Chemical Romance song. The red pills help me fly, and the blue pills help me fall. Yeah. Talking about balancing out, and Jack would be the red pill that's flying, and I would be the blue pill that's falling, considering the colors that we are right now. Yeah, forgot which My Chemical Romance song that is, but it's a good song. It's from their first album. You should check it out. But continue, Jack.
I hope you haven't escaped this argument completely, and we'll come back to this. But if you're not going to give me anything right now, we'll move on because we have a lot to get to. We're going to be talking about the greatest wrestling shows we've attended ourselves. We've attended so many shows in New York, in New Jersey, elsewhere. Well, really just New York and New Jersey. But we've gone to so many different shows and had so many experiences there. And we're going to be talking about these shows. We're also going to be discussing the controversial Raw Underground segment. We're going to be talking about that later. And so much more. But Steve of House does ask in the chat, so is this podcast about wrestling? I don't know, Phil. Is this podcast about wrestling?
I don't know. It's about sports entertainment. Is that what it says in the thing? Yeah, it says Fight Geist, a sports entertainment podcast. So yeah, I would consider professional wrestling sports entertainment. So yeah. Basically, it is a wrestling podcast. It also says the alternative wrestling podcast there. So yeah, it is about wrestling.
What would you consider the greatest wrestling show you've ever been to in person?
Let me get my list here. The greatest one. Okay. So we're not ranking them. We're just doing a 5. I don't want to put one over the other. Okay. My first Raw show was December 26, 2010. I watched John Cena fight Wade Barrett, who was still in the Nexus at the time, in a steel cage. It was very fun. Very, very, very fun. First ever wrestling event. Madison Square Garden. It was what was it? It was a Raw World Tour. That's what it was. I still have the ticket. Yeah, I don't really remember the other matches that were on there, but I'm sure if I looked up the card, it would come back to me. But yeah, life-changing event, first ever live wrestling event. I was already a wrestling fan for years prior to it, but yeah, it was very fun. What about you?
Well, I have a similar experience. You know, what got me into wrestling in the first place was going to a show because I'd never watched wrestling on TV. I've talked about this before on the show. I had never watched wrestling before the first show I went to in person. I went to a Madison Square Garden house show as well, which was in June of 2010. And this was like the show where my friend who was into wrestling at the time introduced me to what wrestling was. Kind of changed my perception of what live entertainment could be, because I went in expecting some kind of sports show. You know, I'd been to baseball games, basketball games before, and I expected some kind of just like, I don't know, somewhat boring type of competition. And then when CM Punk comes out in a mask screaming and running away from Big Show, or when Kane came out and his flames shot up into the air, or when the Nexus came out and attacked Cena, I realized that wrestling was kind of different from everything else. So I think the show that changed my life the most was my very first house show, Madison Square Garden, June 19th, 2010, John Cena versus Sheamus. I mean, is there a better match?
Yeah, there are much better matches. But honestly, at that time...
Cena versus Barrett?
I mean, honestly, I would rather see Cena versus Barrett than Cena versus Sheamus. I thought Wade Barrett was actually a pretty good wrestler, I'd say. But, yeah, I'd say for the time, like 2009 Sheamus, 2010 Sheamus, I thought he was really cool. I mean, now he's alright. He's ripped, but I mean, he's okay. But, I don't know, being a child at that time, you know, things were different. So, someone that's older, like a Steve or Pat, would look at, oh, John Cena versus Wade Barrett. Oh, that sucks. The same way how we would look at Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar and say that sucks, but there's probably little kids that are wrestling fans right now that are like, oh my god, I love Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, that's so cool. So yeah, for us it's very cool. Just putting that out there. Yeah, Jack, I thought that was a pretty cool event. You went January 2010, I went December 2010. That's funny.
Yeah.
Because you started watching after me, but you went to a wrestling event before me. Nice.
Before you ever had, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
How many NXT takeovers have you been to? Because for me, there's no better wrestling crowd environment than an NXT takeover. They have like a totally energy. Yeah.
You would put a takeover over like a GCW crowd?
Yeah.
Really?
Because it feels to me like it's an indie crowd, but way, way, way bigger. You know, they
Yeah,
fill
that's
in
true.
Barclays Center or whatever. I've been to like, I think 4 takeovers, and every time it's like this crowd could not be, well, specifically in New York, because New York has great crowds all the time. I'm sure it's the same in like Philly or Chicago, or Toronto or whatever the good wrestling cities are. But for me, takeover, those shows are kind of unlike anything else. For me, one of my favorite shows I've ever been to was Takeover New York WrestleMania weekend last year, because not only did we have that rabid crowd, not only were there some crazy matches like the Viking Raiders versus Ricochet and Aleister Black was a killer match, but we had Johnny Gargano, one of my favorites of all time, winning the NXT title for the first time against Adam Cole. 2 out of 3 falls. All the interference in the world could not stop this man because he won. And I was standing up and screaming like a child. I flashed back to my first Madison Square Garden house show that day. I flashed back to watching John Cena hit the Attitude Adjustment on Sheamus, watching the Nexus come out, watching Edge come out to fight the Nexus or something. I don't remember what happened at that show too well, to be honest. But I flashed back to what made me a wrestling fan. I don't know. Do NXT takeovers do the same thing for you? Because for me, they feel like I'm a kid.
It's just it's I don't know, it's unlike anything else at Takeover. It's like it's almost like the ultimate indie event in a sense.
Yeah,
it's, oh my god, it's very fun. The ones we went to, I mean, right now I haven't been keeping up with NXT too much, but when I was keeping up with NXT, oh my god, was it the greatest thing ever? And I know it's amazing right now. Like I know it's amazing right now, but I just forget to watch NXT. What can I say? But yeah, those takeovers, were super fun. I can't remember the numbers of the ones that we went to, but one of them we sat pretty much technically ringside-ish. We were on the floor, but we were right next to the ramp, which was pretty damn cool. We got to see Gargano and Ciampa go at it on the freaking ramp on the entranceway, and we got a pretty good view of that because we were right there. Like, we were right there. I don't know. I thought that was really cool. Yeah. But yeah, takeovers are awesome. It's I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like if you're a wrestling fan, it's like the place to be, honestly. And at that time, the takeovers, I mean, yeah, I'll still say that. At that time, the takeovers were, of course, way better than the main pay-per-view. So you had that too. It was like no one. I mean, people cared about the main pay-per-view, but everyone knew the takeover was gonna be the cool thing. I mean, now I enjoy the WWE pay-per-views now much more than I did in, like, let's say 2017. So I'd say I mean, I guess NXT pay-per-views are still better, but WWE, I mean, they're way better now than they were back then. So they kind of had to have a chance fighting NXT. What do you think? You're probably team NXT all the way, I assume. But then again, I shouldn't really be talking, even though I haven't been keeping up with NXT like that.
Yeah, you don't watch NXT, so for you to have an opinion on NXT is an interesting thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm just going based off the fact that I know the NXT pay-per-views are always going to be good, but I've always watched WWE pay-per-views. And back then, they kind of sucked. But now, in my opinion, they've gotten better. So that's why I say that.
I don't know. I think that they've gotten much worse. I think in 2017, pay-per-views on the main roster were 2019. But they've got better again more recently, I guess. I feel like the last couple have been pretty good.
Yeah.
But it fluctuates. It goes back and forth, and NXT never does fluctuate. Except for, I mean, I feel like recently is nowhere near the quality of like 2016, 17 NXT, 18 even. But yeah, Urkadrick in the chat, NXT does still have a killer soundtrack.
Yeah.
They still have somehow even the main roster theme songs are not as good as they used to be, but the NXT ones still are.
Slipknot is the theme song of NXT, if I'm correct.
Yeah, they still have that one. And I don't know. It feels like it's a whole nother level for me. But I don't know. Give me another show. What's another great show you've been to?
Just one more thing about NXT. You know what I really miss? Like 2014 NXT. Dude, like 2014, 2015. Were you watching at that time?
No, not really. I started watching 2015.
Oh my god, dude. Back then it was like really cool because it was still like a new thing, and like no one really knew what takeovers were, and everyone was like trying their hardest. I mean, they still try their hardest, but you know, it's more of an established thing now. But oh man, back in the day when you had guys like Adrian Neville on there and Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn was a god back then. Oh my god. And then Kevin Owens debuted. Finn Balor showed up. It was just such a good time back then. Another show that I really had fun at was, I brought this up too. The 2013 show at the Westchester County Center. It was Easter. I was 12. Yeah, I was 12. I was the biggest mark ever. And there's no better thing for a mark than to surprise them with a wrestling event. So my mom's friend took me and her son to this wrestling event. Didn't say where we were going. She just took us. And I was so surprised. It's just one of those surprises that like you're like, whoa, and you never forget. And on top of that, Westchester County Center is a very small venue. If you live around there or live in the Bronx, you know, you're more people that live in the Bronx are more familiar with Westchester because we're so close to it. They have things like tattoo conventions and the like animal shows and whatnot there, and you know, it's a very small place. So there was like pretty much no nosebleeds. Like everything was like in your face. It's pretty cool. Even if you were on the second level. Like there's one level that's like a floor with a couple seats up, and then there's another level with seats up. And even if you're up there on the balcony, it's awesome because you're just like, you're able to see everything. So I was there. I had fun. I bought a Dolph Ziggler shirt, stealing the show and your girlfriend. Yeah. I remember my mom didn't want me getting that shirt, but I
Yeah, 'cause
wasn't. Yeah, because I was 12 years old, and but my mom wasn't there with me that day, so I said, you know what, I'm gonna buy it. And they didn't even have my size, dude. They had a medium, but it's not like I fit an adult small at 12 anyway. But you know, I still have the shirt. It's actually cut up. Maybe I should wear it on next episode. But it was a very, very fun show, and the main event, never forget it. The Shield, when they were still heel in 2013. The Shield versus John Cena, Randy Orton, and Sheamus. I remember going to the barricade, like in the corner barricade, like where the Shield would jump over. I didn't get to see them jump over the barricade in front of me. They didn't come near me. But I remember turning around, looking at my friend, and then turning right back and seeing John Cena slam Roman Reigns' head right into the guardrail right in front of me, and Roman, like, I don't know, just watching his head get bashed into the guardrail right in front of me. This guy that I watch on TV, these people that I watch on TV every week, it's just like, whoa. It was unlike anything else. I was never so close to wrestling before. So that was really cool. And then at the end, I high-fived Cena, high-fived, freaking, what's his name? Sheamus. And I high-fived Randy Orton. And seeing Randy Orton, and he saw me struggling too. He saw me like struggling to like get to him, and he made sure he got to me. And then I ended up being in the front of the barricade. Some lady let me through. I don't know. Randy Orton was mad cool. We all know how much I love Randy Orton. Yeah, I'll never forget that. That was the coolest thing ever, honestly. And you know what sucks about that? I had a phone at 12, but I didn't have any memory on my phone, so I couldn't capture it. Like, I think about it now, I'm like, damn, imagine if I had the video of, like, Roman Reigns getting his head bashed into the guardrail, and then me actually meeting the wrestlers on my phone. That would have been the coolest thing ever. But, yeah, that event means so much to me. Just another event that just inspired me to wrestle. What about you?
Well, so first of all, I want to address something Urkadrick said in the chat a while back, which ties into the idea of you being a mark, and I mean, you know, so am I. I'll admit it. But I mean, of course we are. It's not a bad thing. But she says, did you guys bring signs to these shows? Have you brought a sign to a wrestling show before?
Actually, I have a sign right here. It's always just been sitting right here.
No way.
I'll get it right now.
Yeah, get it right now. I brought one sign to a wrestling show that I can remember ever. I think I went to a Raw. I think it might have been SummerSlam. Yeah, I think it was SummerSlam 2018. This is when Dean Ambrose had just returned to help Seth Rollins against Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, and it was very obvious. Eventually, obviously Dean was with on Seth, and so I see your sign. If you're on the video podcast right now, he's Team Joe Gacy sign.
You can see, yeah, I have this from like a BCW event in like 2017, and then yeah.
But
it says BCW
my sign, I
on
really
the other side.
Oh, nice. I really wanted to get on camera, so I made a sign said "Watch your back, Seth," and it had the big Dean Ambrose logo on it. And I was like, "This is gonna get on screen right now because this looks like this is a sign that you know it's like WWE friendly or whatever, and they'll put it on camera and I'll be famous." And no, it didn't. But I have that sign rolled up somewhere. It's actually it's a nicely put together sign. You know, it's a solid deal. But
yeah, I'm so much of a mark. I still have a BCW sign. Yeah, that's
a BCW sign.
That's pretty markish. But you know what? I rep it. I'll rep BCW. Damn it. I'll rep Joe Gacy. What was his name in the backyard? Psycho Killer or something like that. It's pretty cool.
I think it was Psycho Joe.
Psycho Joe, yeah, Psycho Joe. That's what it was.
Yeah. But another thing, we talk about the indie environment. We talk about big shows with indie crowds, and I think one that comes to mind is from last year's WrestleMania weekend. We both went to the show together, the G1 special, New Japan and Ring of Honor. Combined to bring that show, and I remember one specific thing about this show, which was that there was a lady behind us. Oh. And when Okada came out, and it was Okada versus Jay White, the main event, and when this match happened, she just starts yelling and complaining about how she didn't want to be there, and she's going, oh, I can't. What time is it? I can't wait for this match to be over so we can leave. And like, oh, I wish this match hadn't happened so we could just leave early and go to spring break or something. It's like, why did you come to the show? So that pissed me off.
Yeah, I was real mad. I wish I said something, because it was very annoying, dude. Like, it was as if like Twitter itself became an ugly woman and sat behind us.
Sure, I'll agree with most of that.
Because all of Twitter is just exactly that. Just grumpy people just bashing wrestling. But that's a whole nother topic. We're not getting into that. But yeah.
We'll get into that. Another show we both went to together. Joey Janela's Lost in New York. You remember that show?
Yeah, dude, that's on my list.
That's on your list too?
Yes.
Yeah. Looking back at this show, I feel like it wasn't actually that great of a show, but I remember it as being really cool because of the crowd, because of a couple of really cool moments like Sabu appearing out of nowhere, Sandman appearing out of nowhere, Marco Stunt's debut, which happened right next to me, and he jumped the guardrail feet from me, and I just remember this being a really cool atmosphere. Wheatus, of course, playing Teenage Dirtbag live, and I don't know, was this actually a good show, or was it some weird combination of nostalgia and the opposite of that?
I thought it was an amazing show. I had a lot of fun. Like, that show just like always stays with me. But not only like the wrestling part, just like I saw like a lot of friends there too. Like, you were there, Justin was there. You know, remember Justin Finn, our good pal from Long Island. But yeah, it was really fun. I thought it was a great time. Yeah, I loved it. I loved it so much. I was sitting, so if you were the wrestler making the entrance, I was to the right of the stage, but facing the ring. So yeah, I was in the second row too. It was pretty awesome. I remember the ladder match. Oh my God, you remember? That was some crazy stuff. Yeah, it was just a really fun event. Everything about it was cool, and you know me, I like the way things look, and the way that looked was really cool. I mean, mind you, I've never been in a Melrose Ballroom before that, so I didn't even know what to expect. But the way the ring looked, I thought it was really cool. The way just the place looked, I thought it was really cool. It was almost Manhattan Center-ish, Hammerstein Ballroom-ish, but maybe like a little more modern. I thought the big screen was really cool. It was like, it reminded me of like the big Titantron from like Attitude Era, and it said Lost in New York. I don't know, I thought it was pretty cool. I just thought it was a really, really great show at a really cool venue with really cool people. It was the ultimate indie event.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I mean, I feel like wrestling, when you're at like an indie show, you saw a bunch of great matches. But there's a couple of shows that I definitely had both. But the shows, a lot of the shows I remember loving going to were more because of the circumstances surrounding them and how I felt at that event, how that event, how the environment was at the event, whether it was how it looked or whether it was just the experience of it, you know, as a whole. Like a lot of the ICW New York events I've been to, at least a couple of years ago, were like where a lot of the wrestlers were very accessible to just go meet them and talk to them, and or you know, a lot of the fans were very rabid or whatever, what have you. I don't know. So have you listed the best shows you think you've been to, or are there more?
There are more now that you bring up ICW. ICW, what was it? One Night Only. This was like maybe October 2016, something like that. It was my first actual indie event. And I say first actual indie event because before that I went to a Creative Pro show because I was like huge into like Grimm's Toy Show and like that whole thing going on. And I was like, whoa, he's going to wrestle at Creative Pro. I want to go over there. And that was technically my first indie event, even though it was like a school event. But what's their name? Massage NV was there. You remember that team that they would like massage people? Do you remember them?
Right, of course.
Yeah, they were there and they fought Best Friends actually, and I saw Best Friends. So yeah, that was the main event actually. It was Best Friend versus Massage NV, and that was technically the first indie main event, first indie show that I saw. But the first real indie event was ICW One Night Stand. And I say real because the crowd was actually wild. It was like somewhat of a hardcore show. It was my first experience of what the whole scene is really like. Boulevard Bullies in the chat. Carry on my wayward son. Not to go off topic, but there's this game that we've been playing.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do that.
There's this game we've been playing called Carrion. I suggest you check it out. That's all I'm gonna say. But that's a great thing right there. I love that. Thank you, Boulevard Bullies. But yeah. So ICW One Night Only, dude. That was Janela versus MJF. I saw that live, and that was when I met them for the first time. I bought an MJF shirt, and that was when his name was different. It was like Maxwell. I forget which one it is now. It's like Feinstein or Friedman, but whichever one was the one before is like I still have that shirt, which is pretty cool. Sabu was there, and I remember as soon as I went into the venue, right? I went in. I was waiting for my dad to go in, and then freaking Sabu walked by me. And mind you, I've never seen any of these guys. Like, nowadays you see Sabu at indie events. I mean, it's still a big deal. But seeing it for the first time, because Sabu is a guy that, like, I always knew from ECW. I would go back and watch stuff. He's in, like, SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, so I would be him in the games and stuff. So, like, seeing him just walk past me, like, literally just walk past me, I was, like, starstruck. I was the biggest mark alive. And I was like, oh my God. Oh, my God. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was afraid to meet Kevin Sullivan that day because I watched a lot of Chris Benoit. Yeah, I watched a lot of Chris Benoit conspiracy theories with my friend. Like,
oh, that's actually why you were scared to meet him?
Yeah. Like the night before or something like that. I watched a lot of that, and I was convinced that Kevin Sullivan killed him. And see him in the flesh, I was pretty scared, and I didn't meet him. But yeah, who else was there? I know Nova was there. But I didn't really know her at the time. Mikey was there, Mittens, and Boulevard Bullies were behind me, and that was the first time I ever found out who they were. The first time I ever saw them, met them, all that. They sat directly behind me. I remember they had they printed out something that Joey Janela tweeted. I can't remember what it was.
It was a threat. It was a threat of physical violence to CM Punk Kid. That's what it was.
Oh yeah. It's all come back to me. They printed that out, and then like they just kept yelling that, and then dude, it was oh yeah, chained to the pickup truck. Yeah. Oh my God, that's hilarious. I remember that, and then yeah, you guys were just wild, and it was pretty funny, and I was like, oh, so this is what indie wrestling is, cool. And then I remember Mikey, CM Punk Kid, and Janela like really had beef or whatever, and like Janela spit on him, and like the whole guardrail got moved. It was a whole thing. It was pretty good. And then, but Pat, was at the same time the Jimmy Lloyd fucking pal thing happened? Fucking pal. There's some old interview where they have Jimmy Lloyd say fucking pal. It's very funny. No, that was another night. Yeah, that was another Elks Lodge night. Okay, so that wasn't that night.
I hope one day soon we can get back to these indie shows and we can
same.
talk about more experiences we've been to and you know, not just talk about the past, but for now we have to talk about the past because the present isn't too fun, is it?
No, it's not.
Before we go, I want to talk about one more thing.
Okay.
There's been this thing happening on Raw recently. It happened this week. It happened the week before. And this is something that I hated. I thought it was garbage. But I know you're going to defend it. I know this is something you're going to like.
Of course.
And I think you know what I'm talking about already, and I think you already are gearing up to defend it because this is the type of thing that you would love. Yeah. And I don't understand it. I never will understand it. But please tell me why this Raw Underground shit is good.
Well, just to go back to the ICW thing real quick, Boulevard Bullies, to think of where they are now. That's me, dude. Like, I watch AEW and I'm like, wow, I know all these guys that are on freaking my TV every week. And I don't know, I just think it's the coolest thing ever. But, yeah, so Raw Underground. Now, I like it. I mean, I don't know what there isn't to like about girls dancing in hot outfits and it being like some underground Fight Club type thing. I mean, I don't know. I think it's cool. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if it's a crime to think Raw Underground is cool. Now, there is a thing in me that's like, I kind of don't want to like it because they kind of stole Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. And, I rep GCW all day. But it's not really like that. But, the no ropes, this and that. The MMA, I don't know. I like it, right? But it's just some things that they do on there, it's like, damn. If I was an MMA fighter, I'd be laughing. Like, for example, these are a couple things that bug me. Dolph Ziggler and pretty much all professional wrestlers, when they put someone in chokehold, they do not do it right. They go under the neck, right, and then they hook right here, but then they put their hand over their forehead, which in no way would actually choke someone out. If anything, that would help them to not get choked out. You're supposed to put the hand behind the head and squeeze. And I always thought, like, why can't people just do it like that and just not actually choke someone out? That always bugs me. Dolph Ziggler does it, and it bugs me, but that's whatever. There were scenes of ground and pound in there, and I don't know if it's just, like, the big MMA mark in me, but the ground and pounds looked so horribly fake. Now I always say it's wrestling. I always say, it's fake or whatever, it's just fun. But it's like, when you're going to do something like that, it's like, oh my God, try to make it at least a little bit realistic. Like, I'm not saying legitimately ground and pound people, but come on. They're really keeping it too safe. I'd like to see someone actually not actually get ground and pounded, but there's a way to do things in professional wrestling where it looks super real, but it really isn't. And I just want to see more of that in Raw Underground. I like it a lot. I like the music. I like the soundtrack of it. I like Shane McMahon hosting it. Shane McMahon is like a Dana White.
What?
It's fun.
What?
It's fun. Yeah, he has a whole... Okay, whatever, Jack. You sold me an apology, but whatever. Yeah, I like that. I like the girls dancing in the cages or whatever. I like that 7-foot guy that I don't remember his name because it's weird. I like how street it is. I like how Dolph Ziggler came out in jeans. I like how the Hurt Club took over. I don't know. I dig it a lot. I don't know why people hate it. I really, really don't understand. Now, I can understand if you hate it because of the things that I mentioned that I don't like about it, but state your case, all right?
Yeah, okay, you want to hear my case? Yeah. So, okay, first of all, I like this idea in theory. If they had, like, the legitimate tough wrestlers who, they showed a couple of them who have legitimate background, Dolph Ziggler, whatever. Fuck Dolph Ziggler, but he's got amateur experience, whatever. They had the guy from the Viking Raiders, right? You have some of these guys who are real fighters. There's a lot more within WWE who they could have used. Yeah, they had Shayna, you're right. So there's a lot more of them that they could have used, but they didn't use any of them. Instead, they used some NXT guys we've never heard of and put them against jobbers who I think were also NXT guys we'd never heard of. I'm not sure. I don't recognize any of these people, but they had that guy, what was his name? Baba Tunde. You remember him? He was from the he was on NXT, he was in Evolve, and he was in the Greatest Royal Rumble. Okay. He comes out, beats up a bunch of jobbers, and then Shane McMahon announces him as, like, what do they call him, Dookie Dokie or something? Some fucking weird new name that they gave him.
Oh, so that guy's been around before. I didn't even know.
He's been there a couple times. I've seen him, yeah, but he's never been an actual, like, they've never done anything with him. And then all of a sudden he comes in here, he's got a new shitty name.
Dookie Dokie.
Yeah, and he's destroying everybody who we've never seen before, all these fucking no-names, and who are half his size. For what reason? Are they?
Because it's cool.
Sure, whatever, but
because he's 7 foot tall and he's a giant, and it's cool to see gigantic people beat up little people because it's very entertaining and awesome. That's why.
Is it though? I don't give a shit about this guy. Like, why should I
change
care
the
about
channel, Jack? And don't watch Raw Underground.
Yeah,
don't watch it then. Just don't watch it. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
Fine, but a lot of people didn't like this. I'm not the only one who feels this way.
And
so
other people, and other people like it.
You have Shane McMahon, who's a guy who pretends to be an MMA fighter, who has a shitty triangle choke and shitty punches, comes out being like the MC of the MMA thing. Yeah. I guess because he is, that guy who uses those moves. They could have picked a million better people. But
like who?
regardless, he's being annoying because he's got the mic the whole time and you're like, oh yeah, oh wow, he just hit him. Oh, get off him. He's had enough. He's being the most annoying asshole, as Shane McMahon always is. And also, then they have to keep reminding you this was his idea, his brainchild, Shane McMahon's brainchild, right? He didn't come up with any of this. This is not something new. This could have been the coolest thing if they did it with people who mattered and they had them fight each other instead of jobbers. This could have been the coolest thing if they had any structure to it whatsoever, instead of just, let's cut back to, let's go back to Raw Underground, the Shane McMahon thing. And then let's have the fucking Dookie Dokie and all these people beating the shit out of these tiny guys and throwing them around. For what reason, I don't know, because we've never seen these people before. And then you have occasionally a big star like Shayna Baszler or the Hurt Business comes in, and they'll just be like, they'll just come in and they'll be like, I'm taking over Raw Underground. This is my thing now. Who cares? Raw Underground's been a thing for 5 minutes. Nobody cares if you're taking it over. It's not like you're making these
care.
Why do you care?
Because I'm entertained by professional wrestling and new cool things and storylines and just entertaining fake violence, all right, Jack? That's why.
Steve of House in the chat says Raw Underground and Pound, which is a good point.
It looks like
and
McMahon's talking into my microphone.
The coolest thing, which I said it could have been the coolest thing, and you're right, but it could have at least been kind of cool because
cool.
Yeah,
exactly.
So they could have done Bloodsport with WWE wrestlers. How cool would that have been? That would have been incredible.
But then again, with Bloodsport, they don't really use wrestlers. You know, Frank Mir, Dan Severn, Ken
Yeah,
Shamrock,
but they have a mix, and that's fine. And also, Dan Severn's been in WWE before. Ken Shamrock, they could have brought these people back.
That's true, that's true.
Yeah, so...
Bloodsport does not suck. I love Bloodsport. I don't understand how you can say that. You're just the madman, aren't you? I'm not giving you your wallet back.
But what it comes down to is I don't understand why they're doing this in the way they're doing it. If they were doing it in the way that anybody else would probably do it, like a Bloodsport, it would be kind of mildly interesting, I guess. I would think it would be pretty cool. Just why are they doing it like this? I don't know. The way they're doing it. With the jobbers, with the guys we've never heard of, with the cutting back and forth between it for like 2 minutes, with Shane McMahon on the microphone. There's so many problems I have with this bullshit. It doesn't make sense.
I like it. I like that it's not guys that I know. I mean, it's kind of cool being guys that you don't know. It's a different way for them to be introduced to the whole WWE world, the whole WWE I don't know, little universe. I'm talking about the fans. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know how you can just sit there and bash it. I mean, whatever. I mean, I think it's cool. I like how they're doing something different. I mean, there's girls, Jack, dancing. I mean, I didn't even have to say anything else. All I have to say is that there's girls dancing. And if you don't like that, there's something wrong with you.
I didn't say anything about that. I don't give a shit. I don't.
You don't care about girls dancing?
On a wrestling show, no.
Wow. What's wrong with you? You probably want to get rid of the ring card girls for MMA and boxing fights, don't you? I don't like you.
The thing. I don't care. You don't need to have people. You don't need to have girls dancing on a wrestling show.
Remember Nitro Girls? Yeah, Nitro Girls are cool.
The Nitro Girls, yeah, that sucked too. There's just no reason.
Really
to have
didn't. Wait, Jack, be honest with me. Are you gay?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, if that's what you want to believe, it's.
Oh, okay. Then everything makes sense then.
No,
you don't like the Nitro Girls. You don't like the Raw Underground girls. Okay, I get it now. Okay, I understand.
Look, I just don't want these. I don't need these things to mix. All right, I don't need wrestling to have things that are not related to wrestling in it. I don't know why you're this defensive about the Raw Underground thing, and then you're so calm about the fact that you skipped out on Fight Guys to go play golf.
Hey, remember when you skipped out because you were retired from work? Do you remember it?
Yeah, it happened. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, Raw. So Fight Guys, the alternative wrestling podcast. We say, Raw Underground is awesome. That's what we stand by. Phil thinks tired from work equals going to golf. I mean, it does.
It doesn't. They're not even remotely the same thing. By the way, can I make one more point about the whole golf thing?
Make a point.
Look, you
and,
remember
and
how,
give me my apology.
you remember how we were going to do the CPSF, the Central Park Street Fight, right?
Right.
We were going to do this a couple weeks ago. We had it all
Yeah.
planned out.
Yeah.
The day of, you canceled because your parents didn't want you going to an event like this without a mask on.
Right.
Understandable.
Right.
Then I fire up the Boulevard Bullies Instagram story, and you are at
The
a
day of-
sporting event without
Right.
a mask on.
Right.
I'm sorry, what's the difference?
We were not wrestling each other.
Right. Right. I mean, yeah, it's not a contact sport, but you're going to an event without masks or social distancing, and
Well, actually, we did have masks though. We just took it
not
off
in
when
the
we were
beginning.
using.
So that's not. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not trying to like cut down your personal choices. I'm saying when we do it for the show, you can't do it, but almost the same thing.
Is it the same
for
thing?
fun, and then you skip on the show to do it.
Is it the same thing? I mean, think about it. You're working at a camp with kids. I mean, you're in another state. You're in Vermont. You're doing things. You're out. You're living your life. You're having fun. You're doing things with other people. I assume half the time you're not wearing a mask. And
Nope.
you know, we're gonna be wrestling. We're gonna be on top of each other. Your spit is probably gonna go into my mouth, Jack. And
don't-
you know, I
yeah.
don't want that. And if you have corona, then that wouldn't be good. None of us were wrestling. None of us spit into each other's mouths. So yeah, there's a difference.
I mean, there's a difference, but I don't think it's that big of a difference, to be honest. It seems like,
The gimmick.
I mean, I'm not saying they're related, but like,
The
it's
gimmick.
confusing. It's always going to be confusing to me. And Steve in the chat, I agree. He says, I hope off air he drops the gimmick and sincerely apologizes. I don't know, Phil. The gimmick seems to be a lot of what you are these days.
What is the gimmick? I have no
I'm
gimmick.
Jack Peterson. I'm Ajax. I'm Mr. Clean. I'm Sex Pac. I'm the man of 1,000 strongly worded wrestling opinions. I'm hot. I'm sweating, and I'm pissed off. And you know, that's just what the show is these days, isn't it?
Professional wrestling is real. People are fake. That's a quote from Mr. Anderson. He had a t-shirt like that. Good t-shirt. I miss it. Maybe I'll get it on eBay. But yeah, Jack, we had a great episode. What'd you say?
Was it?
Tomorrow. What were you going to say?
It was certainly an episode.
Yep. It was quite the episode. It was quite the sode, I'd say. I had fun. I had a good time. I hope I hope all of you had a good time. We are going to be having even more fun tomorrow with our tier list. Our freaking tier list. There's probably going to be a lot more arguing. I'm not going to apologize. This is me out of character. There is no character. As you can tell, our character names are no longer below us. So this is real life. This is Fightgeist, a real life podcast.
You can follow us at Fightgeist Wrestling on Instagram, at Fightgeist Pod on Twitter. We're on YouTube, Fightgeist, the Alternative Wrestling Podcast. Subscribe and hit the bell to find out every time we upload. And follow us right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Fightgeist Wrestling. We are the Alternative Wrestling Podcast. Keep listening.
Better